You might need to accept that you're happy that it's being recorded.
So I hit got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll go. Hello, this is the Diocese of Truro's Hustings for General Synod, and I'm here with Father Peter, who is now going to introduce himself.
So hello, and thank you for tuning in to listen to what I've got to say on these important issues. The adults in Redruth tend to call me Father Peter. The children in the youth clubs call me FP. So I have just come from the altar, and at the altar I was feeling sick because I knew I had to sit here and be who I am. And who I am, of course, is not really part of the church, because LGBTQ people, although we are told we are welcome in the church and we hold down important posts, perhaps, the relationships we have cannot be blessed within the church communities. And so that somehow means that we remain on the edge. And you know, and I know, that at the synod for which some are to be elected, it is going to consider, in the light of the love and faith courses which many of us have done and led, it will consider whether the church, the Anglican Church, can follow the example of the Methodist Church and other Christian denominations in allowing same-attracted people to be married or blessed within a church context. I've been around a long time. I've been bullied. I was queer bashed as a teenager. I was raped as a young adult. And all the time, one is thinking, the church actually doesn't want me, doesn't want who I am. It's very happy to accept my work. It's very happy to put me in a difficult parish where I was in London, but it actually doesn't want me. And who I am is a product of who I am. Whatever I do for someone else, wherever I minister, however I might reach out to people, that is because of who I am. And when the call came for people to put themselves up for General Synod because of this important vote that was coming, how could I not? How could I not put myself on the line? How could I not stand with those people who had to wear a pink triangle in the death camps? How could I not stand with people who all over the world, even now, are in prison for who they dare to love? So I thought, I have no choice. I have to stand. I have to put myself forward and expose myself really to criticism, perhaps, to hostility, perhaps, to a lack of understanding, perhaps. But there you have it. I am here. There are many, many other important issues for me within the church. But I stand here today as a same-sex attracted man, age 73, with a permission to officiate in the Diocese of Truro. And all I can say is, this is an important matter that is going through the synod. And we have the opportunity to set people free. When my partner died, I didn't know what to put on his gravestone. And then I heard about the attack on the Bataclan Theatre in Paris. And someone had lost their wife. And they wrote a letter to the terrorists. And they said, "You have not won. We will meet again in the paradise of the free." And that was what I put on the gravestone of my beloved friend. We will meet again in the paradise of the free. If the vote fails this time, then the church will have made a very clear statement that they stand beside all those things that have made life difficult, made life a misery, made life something that has to be hidden for so many people. So my prayer is that the vote will go through, that somehow people who are same-sex attracted will have their love and their relationships honoured by the church.
Thank you, Peter. I'm now going to ask you 4 questions, as we've asked the other candidates, and you have 2 minutes to answer each one. So the first question is, the question that came up most when we asked colleagues what they wanted to hear about relates to the church and same-sex marriage. What is your view on this, and what will be your approach when considering debate in Synod?
Well, I've just talked about it, really. I have thought that this vote would not be in my lifetime. But people I've talked to, I've been given hope that perhaps this time we will get a measure that will allow same-sex attracted relationships to be blessed. It's quite possible for same-sex attracted people to be married according to civil law. And I believe that in some countries, that is what happens anyway. Everyone gets married by civil law, and then some go to a church to have their love for each other blessed by God. That is what I hope for. If we get marriage, that is amazing. But perhaps, just perhaps, the church will allow the love that I had for my partner of 31 years and that he had for me to be taken to a church and to have God recognize it and for it to be publicly recognized. It's very difficult to talk about these things because we're talking about something that is totally natural for LGBTQ people. That's who we are. And to have who we are denied in any form is very, very difficult. So my hope is that we will get marriage, but that may be a step too far this time. I hope, I pray, that we will get permission, that when 2 people come to me and say, will you bless our relationship? I will no longer have to say no. Or what I have said is, well, we can go to a hotel and I can bless your relationship in a hotel, but I cannot bless it in a church. I hope, I pray that that will be allowed.
Thank you. Question 2. Campaigns under the banner Save the Parish have had a lot of publicity recently. What would you take to General Synod from the issues that they raise?
Well, the parochial system has been around for a long time. It's been around for hundreds of years. And sadly, I probably am a bit of a dinosaur because I come from the standpoint of one church, one parish, one priest. And we have many, many initiatives now where we're trying to reach out to people. But for me, the only way to reach out is to tramp the streets. The only way to reach out is to visit, to be in the pub, to go to the different groups, to be in the schools, to be in the care homes. And it's very difficult to do that if the parish is going to be extended to include other parishes that have to be looked after by one priest. And I know there is the whole move now that the laity take much more responsibility for what goes on. But for many people, the parish priest is a person they can go to any time of the day or night. Someone who will walk beside them when they're lonely or afraid. Someone who will be part of those wonderful moments in their life when their child is baptized, when their love for another person is recognized through marriage, and when their love for someone who was very precious to them has died. The parish priest is there. And it's very, very difficult if the parishes are amalgamated, if the status of the parish is somehow reduced. So I hope that somehow we can go back to one church, one parish, one priest, supported, of course, by an energetic and a prayerful and a loving congregation which contains leaders who are prepared to take on roles of responsibility. And that's what I hope will happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 3. We received questions relating to the 5 guiding principles and mutual flourishing within the church. Where do you stand on the priestly and episcopal ministry of women?
Well, when I was in my first parish after I was ordained deacon and then priest in Westminster in London, the parish office that I worked in was next to the offices for the movement for the ordination of women. I have always supported women in both priestly roles and episcopal roles. And so I got very close to some of the leaders for MAO, the movement for the ordination of women. I wrote some of their publicity for them in the very early days. To me, it's who they are. It's a bit like the same-sex attracted argument. God calls you as you are. The arms of the cross were open to the world for all people. He calls women, has always called women, to be priests and to be bishops. I have a real problem with the consecration of flying bishops, because for me, a bishop is a symbol of unity. And to have a bishop who will only go to certain churches, only work with certain congregations, seems to me to be slightly against what a bishop stands for. And to allow churches almost to choose whether they will accept the ordination of women and the episcopal oversight of a woman, again, raises for me very serious questions. I once heard at Walsingham, the Bishop of Sheffield say, "The walls that we build on earth do not stretch to heaven." And so I think we've got to stop building these barriers and allowing the barriers to be built, which somehow allow people not to accept the priestly ministry of women and the episcopal oversight of women bishops. And maybe it's a step too far, but that's what I think. And that is how I would argue in a synodical debate.
Thank you. Final question. Tell us one area where you would like to make progress in this synod. What do you think is the priority?
The priority for me, and the reason I stood, was to somehow stand beside those who are same-sex attracted, those who are trans, all those people in that vast group of people who feel that the church somehow is not for them. It is going to be a major issue in this synod. And that would be, of course, my focus, because that is why I have stood. The call came from Inclusive Church. They wanted people to stand who were prepared to put themselves on the line And that is what I have done today. But there are other far more important matters that the Synod will consider, not more important, but important, equally important, like the pastoral responsibility that the Church has to care homes, where there is no permanent chaplaincy, except in one little group that I know of, where a very gifted priest is exercising a chaplaincy role to 5 care homes. The whole question of the environment, the whole question of how we reach out to children, they are all vital matters about which I have views and ideas and hopes and dreams. But because of the call from Inclusive Church, I had no choice but to throw my hat into the ring and hope that the vote to either marry or to bless same-sex attracted people will be accepted, and that many people will rejoice that the Church then embraces their relationship and their love for someone else.
Thank you. And is there anything else you'd like to say to close?
Well, during the lockdown, when we were all on Zoom, I heard things from other people, and I want to read you just a few of them. Because in the service to deacon somebody, there is the word herald. And we are heralds of what we believe to be true. And we stand up for the gospel when it's read, because we stand up for the truth. And for me, the truth is that all people are beloved of God. And so I stand up for all people today, that they will have the chance to have their lifestyle, whatever it is, accepted and blessed by God. And so Malala Yousafzai said, you remember she was the activist for human rights? She said, if you are speaking the truth, and if you are speaking out for justice, there are invisible guards around you and angels protecting you. And Amanda Cozy Makwashi, who's the CEO of Christian Aid, she said, use your platform, use your space to call out injustice. And finally, may our lives speak about the changes we desire to see in the world. May we speak about justice and open our hearts to the stranger. May we follow in Jesus' footsteps and speak in your language for those who have no voice. May God's blessing rest upon all of those who will vote in the coming weeks, that they will vote for truth, that they will vote for justice, however they see it, and that people's dreams of being freed from oppression and fear will be granted. Amen. Thank you, Kate.